Good evening, UKSG. We're back with another awesome run. This time it is Anodyne by Laser Trap. But before that happens, we've had a donation come in from Code Gorilla for $20 saying, "Good luck on the run, Laser Trap." And that's going to the bonus game that we do not know what it is, so thank you very much. And just before we get started, we are raising money to support Crisis, a charity supporting people out of homelessness for good. They achieve this through education, training and support with housing, employment and health. 100% of your donations will go to them. And with that, we're going to go over to Laser Trap and his commentary team for this run.
Okay, well, thank you very much. First off, thank you to Code Gorilla for the donation. A member of the speedrunning team for Anodyne 2, I believe. Yeah, so this is Anodyne, I'm Lasertrap, and I press buttons and go fast. We're doing that with the all bosses run today. I usually run glitchless, but this run is going to be busted. So I also have two friends, my commentators, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Clever Pigeon. I also speedrun this game and Anodyne too. I've mostly focused on 100%, which is a bit different to all bosses, but there are some similarities, which so I can, illuminate people on that. And also I'm reading chat, so if you do have any questions, let me know.
Hi, I'm Seth. I'm working on a remake of this game, so I'll be explaining most of the glitches you'll see during the first 5 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm ready to go, so start the timer please in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, the game is in Chinese because it's fast, but I'll just tell you right now that this sort of tutorial area, it's not quite use these buttons to do this, it's demanding that we do that. Our character Young is in this strange world, doesn't really know where he is, so we're being told, you will use the C button to turn off these switches. You'll use the arrow keys to move and the enter key for the menu. So we go to this second world here, the Nexus, kind of like a hub world, and we meet the Sage. He's just a little guy that follows us around and tells us stuff. Here's another portal to the streets, and I'm going to just use a menu function which returns me to the entrance of an area, which is available in dungeons. This isn't really a dungeon, but the function is available here as well. Now our hero goes and explores and finds a broom.
Sorry, I was gonna...
That's okay. Go ahead.
I was gonna say sometimes the entrance to an area isn't mapped to where you actually enter, so John moved a few screens forward using that little warp there.
Yeah, so there's a trick that I could use to get out of bounds here, but it's actually slightly faster, by my calculations, to not use that glitch here, but we'll be seeing it a few times in the opening portion of the run. And yet another portal. This is a checkpoint. I need to save to come back here later, and then we will get a heads up from this character, Mitra. Very lovely, but she's just crashed her bike. And she talks to us for a little bit, but I can skip a little bit of text if I move out of there by walking less than 3 tiles. Now, I'm going to use this room transition here to sort of abuse these tiles and walk right through them, and we'll explain that in just a little bit, just like we'll explain this horrible glitchy mess on your screen. I'm out of bounds, don't worry about it, and I will walk right into the next area that way. This is Fields, it's like the main area of the game. I need to just get to this screen here very briefly so I can come back there later, and then I'm going to walk into a wall again. We're about to see a very hard skip though, and Seth, would you like to explain that skip for us?
Yeah, so the skip that's coming up is called Pit Skip, and we'll just basically walk over a hole in the ground. The way it works is that when Young is on top of a hole, a timer starts running of like 0.12 seconds.
Oops.
And if you switch between facing down and left, every time you do that, the timer resets, so you can just walk straight over holes.
That was a bit scuffed, but I just about managed to get over on the second try. And now we're going to walk. I think I did an extra wiggle into the out of bounds, and yeah, we're about to see a parallel universe. So Pigeon.
Yeah, the meme-oriented amongst you will enjoy this. There are parallel universes in this run for like one bit of it at the start. Parallel universes are to the east and west of the main map. They're also offset by one tile each vertically. The further you go out, the more offset they are. And they've got this weird glitchy effect on them, but they also don't load any object, so you can just walk right through, whether it be a gate or a boss or something blocking your way. And then you can go back into the main universe and enter the area.
Yeah, so I just picked up the final broom extension that you're meant to get in the game. This is a weird extension of the broom that allows you to swap tiles, and there's a little puzzle there. But I actually love this game so much that I'm going to beat it twice for you today. Seth, why might I do that?
That's because the swapper is not actually available to use anywhere in the map until you get past the credits.
Yeah, and right here, you might want to shield your eyes if you're getting a little bit dizzy from watching me go side to side, but we can do an explanation of this glitch now as well.
Yeah, so what's happening here is every single screen transition, Young moves up by about 1.5 pixels until they run into the water here. So why this works is John is just holding up and the move and left or right, depending on whether the next wiggle is to the left or the right. And whenever you hit a screen transition, you get put wholly outside of the screen.
Dude,
and then...
Briar. I got so many text boxes from Briar. I don't know why that happens. That's a new one to me.
And the collision on a map is not active until the screen transition is complete. So you basically get no collision with the map while you're wiggling.
Alright, so that's like a basic any percent run of this game, except in the any percent run we wouldn't actually get any upgrades. So we are going to see a credit sequence, and Panda, this is your time to just read out something if you have it.
Yes, I do. I'd like to talk to you about some upcoming incentives that we have going on. We have the Ride the Roller Coaster in Cyberpunk with Keanu Reeves. We have Bring Tales with us on Sonic 1 Forever. The bonus game that nobody knows what it is. Very exciting, a hidden mystery there. And the Easter egg in Celeste, where we change the file name and see what happens.
Alright, thanks. I wonder who's running Cyberpunk.
Unfortunately, that's me.
So, remember when we saved earlier?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, remember when we saved earlier? We went back to there when we loaded the game again. And as you can see, now we can use the tile swapper to just completely break this world open. We skipped a dungeon earlier in this woods area, but this is all bosses, and the bosses like to hide in the dungeons. So I'm entering through the back entrance to get to the boss slightly quicker.
Around here you'd be... Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's alright. Yeah, you'd be collecting stuff around here in 100%, but all bosses, you get to cut out some of the fat and just go straight to the bosses, effectively. You'd be playing a lot more of the dungeon here, and you'd... I can't even remember where you enter the dungeon in 100%. It's been a while, but I don't think you enter. Do you enter? Oh no, you enter through the back and then you entrance walk. Okay.
And this is the seer, or the seeing one. Pretty set pattern, and I do just sort of stay in a consistent place. I do tank 3 hits, it doesn't matter too much. But actually, as a side note, this is a fairly risky run for... Well, I mean, you can get yourself stuck in walls using the tile swapper. But also, you don't pick up any health upgrades, which makes some of the bosses really tricky. But we're done with boss number 1, nice and simple. we're going to now leave the woods through the other side. We're going to have a quick tour of all the funky areas in this game. There's a lot of weirdness in this game. And in fact, the next area probably makes me the most uncomfortable. This is the suburb. It's got this weird black and white filter, music kind of like an untuned radio. And if I were playing it normally, my broom would instead be a knife. But I don't have to deal with that this time. And this is the apartment, the next dungeon, and once again, walking right through into the outer bounds here. I'm about to do a bit of a tricky tile grab from off screen. There we go. Although I don't want to get hit by the gas, because that enemy's poison gas that they shoot, it reverses my controls. It reverses my left and right, at least. This is the Watcher, so Seth, did you have something to say about Watcher, I believe?
Yeah, so we really would like him to keep doing this attack, but that's only a 25% chance.
Oh, we split. That's the worst one.
Both other attacks are really slow, and you can only get like 1 or 2 hits in. And he likes to do it multiple times.
Oh yeah, 3 times in a row with a split. Lovely. And he's giving me the other slow one too.
Fun fact about this phase, those fires don't actually hurt you until they start moving.
I'm kind of surprised that didn't take longer with the way that was going. Right.
Yeah, with the good pattern where he stays up top, you can just swap a tile to where it isn't supposed to be and just keep hitting him. But otherwise, you have to actually deal with him, and it sucks.
So the reason I got to the screen earlier in the fields was so that I could just warp straight back there from the Nexus. And now I'm going to go up, out of bounds in the map. I'm going to sort of break myself into someone else's house and then leave through their entrance to warp me around the map a little bit quicker. And then get back out of bounds at the side of the map. And walk down a little bit to get to the next area as efficiently as possible. We are in now the forest. And this is probably the last time for something to read, Panda, so go for it.
Yes, still nothing in for them incentives, unfortunately, but we would like to say thank you to ESA for supporting this marathon. Besides providing us with this channel for streaming, they are sharing gear, technical assistance and sponsors. Be sure to check out ESA's next event, ESA Winter 2022, which is happening sometime in February 2022.
Sounds good. I hope to see some of us there too. This is the cliffs area, and I'm going to enter this side cave here. This is for an additional upgrade, but I'm going to instead sort of use entrances to warp my way around the map a little bit quicker. We'll see Mitra again here.
Side area.
To give us boots.
Yeah, Mitra's given us boots, so now we can jump. That side area where you get the broom upgrade called Extend actually counts as part of the dungeon of this area as well. So you can just, they're on the same map, so you can use it to get around.
Enter the back entrance of this dungeon as well. You saw me using the tiles to just path through that cliff like it's nothing, which is quite fun. This is the wall. Interesting boss, can't quite get our name right. The character's called Yang, but he calls us a variety of things. I remember, like, Yan is when he dies, I believe. Like my name, but with a Y.
Ying? Yang? Yang, I think, is one of them.
Yang is definitely one of them.
We just hit him in the teeth when he's showing them. And I use this strat to fall off to use my iframes to get to him closer. Why does he have so many hits left? I'm confused. Oh, I almost died.
Oh god, oh.
Right. Let's get out of there quickly. But I'm going back to the Extend Cave now because I do actually rather want that Extend item. Unfortunately, I have to fight a dog to get it. And dogs are a little bit scary.
Oh.
Okay, not a single hit in the first one. Get out of the way, Shaggy. These guys are harmless, but they look like Shaggy, and their movement is random as far as I know. Okay.
It is.
Calm. Stay calm. Alright, we got him. Probably would have saved time to skip extend, but that's okay.
It's tough to deal with a dog without taking a hit. They are quite erratic in the way they move.
Those ones are much more easy to handle, but I wanted to play it very safe with only 1 HP. I don't want that tile. I want that tile. So now we're done with the cave and the wall. We found Waldo. Haha. We're going to, you know, obviously what's at the top of a cliff? Space. So I'm going to make this journey into this very strange space area. A very odd background. There's, you know, some interesting lore about the cubes that roll over this land. And also, you know, just, there's nothing that can harm you in space, but there are these creatures that look like they will harm you and just make you feel uncomfortable. Get on top of the roof of an apartment building. I guess it's at the top of space. And then we return to entrance there as usual to, well, not as usual, to get to a further point in the dungeon. Clip into the side of the elevator, get to the bottom floor because that's where the boss is. And the manager of this hotel that we're in is in fact this weird one-eyed, well, he is just an eye, right? So who wants to take over for this boss?
I'll talk about the manager. The manager is unique in that it's the only boss with 2 distinct phases in the game. Like some of them have different mini phases, I guess, but this boss takes place in 2 completely separate rooms.
Hey.
And also it's part spider. I think it's random how far up and down the screen it goes each time it charges into the wall.
That could have been so much worse.
No, it goes to a fixed location, but it returns to a semi-random location.
Okay.
Yeah, that lines up with that, at least. Okay, manager is probably the second, well, arguably the hardest boss in the run. I died in my practice run yesterday, so we're on pace to have a better run than that. Let's use this portal. This is an endgame area. We're not quite ready for that yet. We've still got more, still got more bosses to find. The next area is the beach, and I have to make sure I get back in bounds at the right time, because if I go too early, I go to the wrong entrance of beach and it takes a lot longer. But fortunately I did, and after I just plow straight through this cliff, I am then going to just tile my way through this water, which usually has collision that'll stop us, but I can just go straight through and into the whirlpool, which takes us into the weird Red Sea. Everything's weird in this game, but it's so... Well, I mean, I do have to say the atmospheres in this game are amazing. Like, inside this dungeon, what the heck is this red water? Is it red water? It's not lava, I guess, because it doesn't hurt me. Is it blood? Or is it sauce? But if it's sauce, then damn, that's a lot of sauce. I'm kind of...
It's heavily implied to be blood.
Heavily implied to be blood. Okay, game. I've never done that one before.
The theme of this dungeon.
And this is...
I always imagine it's red water. But...
the rogue boss. A little bit scary because he's got a number of different attacks. As you can see, he can throw up the tentacles, he can throw these weird balls in the air, like rainbow colored. He can even cause a huge tidal wave, which is a hassle if it happens. Oh, and by the way, he's dead. So, Seth, do you want to explain what happened there quickly?
Yeah, so that boss, every time he does the tentacle attack, he actually checks 4 hitboxes outside of him to the top left, down, and right. To check if he needs to defend with his tentacles. And if he does that twice, then he starts going into his other attack phases. But you can stand just outside of those hitboxes and then just keep hitting him while none of his attacks actually hit you.
Yeah,
which is always fun.
I'll start moving around the screen, which makes things quite a bit more difficult to deal with. I'd like to point out D Jack of Hearts' point in the chat. I think that's a good point. I think about that quite a lot. I know that Anodyne is a painkiller, which I don't know if there's like a drug metaphor in there somewhere. I don't know why. I don't know why the game's called Anodyne, but hey, lots to think about.
Because it's
Anodyne 2 was
Anodyne.
excellent, says Dark Fire Reaper. Thank you for saying Anodyne 2 was excellent. I QA'd it.
Yeah. Oh, I did want that. So I kind of just skipped past the 8-bit cell, but it's pretty trivial in any speedrun, whether it be glitched or glitchless. Although a nightmare to play casually, because you don't know where to go. It's kind of a labyrinth. This is the circus dungeon, the final dungeon we're going to in the game, pretty much. Home to an interesting boss fight. Funnily enough, our remake dev, Seth, here in the call with us, found an interesting strat, if she would like to talk about that.
So yeah, this boss is actually made of 3 entities. You have each individual one and the combined one, and when they throw like here, the combined one is still where it was before, as you can hear with the hit sounds. So you can just keep hitting it until they recombine, and then usually one more hit will do it.
That's the optimal strat, and they have actually a very generous 60% chance of doing that, which is nice. So now let's finally go back to the end game.
They can also jump away, and then it gets really irritating very quickly.
Let's finally go back to the end game to experience a very plot twist moment. Remember the little guy that follows us around and tells us stuff, the sage? He's not very happy that we did the things that he asked us to do. He doesn't actually think we're good enough.
Yeah, he says, you're not ready, no, I need to stop you, and then he tries.
This is another candidate for the hardest boss for me to do. It is not random, though, but the hitbox of the extend broom is quite finicky, and, you know, I like to tank a few hits, but I don't have any health upgrades. This is actually going really, really well. One more hit.
This phase might be random.
Yeah, I think the final phase is the only random phase, but that went super well.
Yeah, that was a really clean sage fight.
I'm wondering if this might even be on pace to sub 25.
I know you can tank a lot of hits in Sage's last phase if you have health upgrades, but without them it's tricky.
Yeah. So this is the final area of the game again. We have to sort of go through 2 gauntlet areas, which without glitches, are the hardest areas of the game. But we can just bypass them all now with a tile swapper. Again, worth mentioning just a second time that the tile swapper can't be used, even though we do have it at this point in the game, until you beat the game. So that's why we beat the game in the beginning. I'm doing red before blue, even though you're not supposed to, but that'll skip a bike cutscene where the sage tries to destroy Mitra's wonderful bike. Here she is again.
Duke Dragon is asking in chat about massive corruption. I'm thinking it's about the glitchy out of bounds effect. And that is on purpose. If you go outside of the bounding box of the map, then the game just starts randomly every few seconds, like every second or so. Sorry, lots of words. Just copying random rectangles of the screen to other places of the screen.
And this is Briar.
So that's what's happening there.
This is Briar, who the sage has been hyping us up to go and fight through the entire game, actually. So
I think it's like you need to protect the Briar from the darkness, and then you get there and no one talks about the darkness, and it's just Briar.
Yeah, this is a very interesting boss fight. I would say I kind of forgot about the first phase strat on that ice ball, but Briar, you have to get 6 hits in on them, and 3 is to the fire side and 3 is to the ice side. We've got 3 hits to the fire side now with the ice attack. So now we're going to see the ice side hits with a fire attack. We can sort of always put that dust in the same position, even though I don't think we're meant to, but for some reason the fire will hit from there. This is going quite well so far.
And in between each hit, you get that like bullet hell dodgy thing, the spikes, orbs.
Can I do damageless?
And it gets more intense every so often, every few hits. But there's this nice safe place you can stand. It's pretty
Damageless Briar in a marathon, wow.
oh, nice.
Just about that, this not being the intended solution to that. Yeah, those bullets check collision with the dust before they check collision with the clouds. So
Yeah.
that's how that works.
And then Briar teaches us how to swim and offers us to go and get a
Get
sandwich.
ready on time.
Yes, do get ready on time. The sage is going to come along and say, "We performed adequately." You know, just adequately. We only saved the world or something. And at the top of the screen, that is time. No deaths.
Yay. GG.
Indeed.
Very nice. Damageless Briar, which is harder than it looks.
Yeah. Even though there is a sort of safe X position to do Damageless Briar, it's very easy to sort of get offset by the tiles at the top and the bottom of the screen. But yeah, thanks for having me on UKSG. This was very fun to do. Just quick fire shoutouts. This game was made by Melos and Marina originally, being remade by Seth and Cynthia. Clever Pigeon, fellow speedrunner, 100% world record holder. Serena also was one of the original runners for this category, and Lifning, who had the any percent record for a very long time when the game came out. And finally, The Barrel, probably Anodyne's greatest speedrunner. Alright, what was my time on that actually?
The timer tech guy was actually in the other room and didn't hear you call it, so we're
whoops.
not 100% sure, but it was stopped at a 24:20.
Well, that was a sub 25 either way then.
Yeah, chat saying it was 24 dead.
24 dead, wow, that's only 11 seconds off my PB.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a really good run.
yeah, that was very clean.
We've also had a $5 donation from Josh215 saying, "Much love to Anodyne and all the community, a fantastic couple of games and a great speedrun."
I agree, this is
with-
one of my favorite games to speedrun.
And with that, we are at the end of my hosting schedule. I'll be handing you over to Argic. And coming up next is a Ghostbusters any percent easy run by Destructiox. And until then, we're going to go to intermission and we will see you soon.